Nerdiverse, as this is a new episode of MOTN Figured It Out, where your favorite collector, Mike G, gets to talk about his favorite hobby in all of the Nerdiverse, and that is 1/6 scale figure collecting. Today we have a hell of a show. We're going back to the basics a bit. Let me just make sure my chat is looking good. Make sure that we're popping up. Yes, we are. And we are live. This is a weekly show where MOTN's own Mike G gets to discuss about the upcoming figures in news in the world of 1/6 scale collecting. Also, there's some 1/12 scale collecting, even some fig pens. So we talk about all things figures, and I just go over some figures that have made the big news this week, as well as some things that I've learned in my history of collecting 1/6 scale figures, and making this a fun yet educational channel. This is a live episode. We are currently live on YouTube. We are live on Twitch, and we're supposed to be live on TikTok, but that remains to be seen. I don't know if we're up there. I have to test that one day. So please feel free to jump in the chat, interact, ask questions. It just helps makes this episode that much more fulfilling to someone who's looking to figure out how to get into 1/6 scale collector, figure out what figures may they be interested in, and just figure out if this is something they would have fun doing. So to everyone who will be watching tonight and everyone who watches in the future, thank you for coming through. We got a hell of a show tonight with some really interesting figures. I'm just going to wait just a second for chat to kind of come in. If you are watching, please feel free to say what's up, and I'll be able to answer any questions, definitely. Last few streams, we've been going through a lot of unboxing attempts, a lot of figure reposing, just kind of give you a glimpse into my collection with my Magneto back there, as well as the double posing of Doctor Strange and Dead Strange. That was a really fun episode. Go back and watch those if you would like to see how I made a double stacked diorama of two 1/6 scale figures. Super interesting stuff. With that being said, I won't bury the needle any further, and we're going to go ahead and talk about some new figures that were announced this week, some figures that were released this week, as well as just some overall questions I would like to ask you, the Nerdiverse, in regards to 1/6 scale collecting. Let's get started. So we're not going to bury the hatchet here, people. The news across all of the 1/6 scale figure community is the release of James Gunn's Superman. David Cornsweat, I think the dude's name is actually. But this is the new Superman. And there's a lot of interesting things going on with this character in 1/6 scale news, but I don't want to bury the needle. We'll talk about that more later. Let's focus on this figure here by Hot Toys. Initial thoughts. This was one that was a long time coming for me. I've been eyeing the idea of this figure since this movie's been announced. I've wanted a Superman in my collection for a very long time. And I'm not a big Cavill guy. I'm not a big Snyderverse guy. So I wasn't really jumping at the InArts or the Hot Toys versions of him. I wanted another Superman. I wanted Christopher Reeve. I was even willing to go Brandon Routh. But I was waiting for a new Superman because that's the one character that I need in my collection. And this was extremely okay, they're making this movie. And I've been talking about it on our show, MOTN Live, Fridays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I've also been talking about it on this channel. Figured it out that if they come out with this Superman, I just want it. I instantly want it. I need a Superman, and I think this movie's going to be good. Now, this movie's a train wreck. Will that change my feelings of this figure? I mean, I can't say it won't. That Black Adam's one of the best figures that Hot Toys ever made, but it came from the movie Black Adam. So you kind of have to weigh that into it. But all that aside, I think this figure looks absolutely great. This is Hot Toys' first attempt at a magnetic face, which you can see there, pieces of the Fortress of Solitude, the head sculpt you can see of David Cornsweet, I think looks great. I love the little bitty smirk on his face. I love the attention to detail in his curled S, kind of disheveled hair, like he's in mid-fight. I really dig that. Of course, this character is going to come with rotating eyes. But the big selling thing for me is crypto. One thing I've been saying, and Toots will tell you, Tootie Odin of Tootie's Toy Box. I've been telling Toots and Wash that they have to make a crypto. I am a big fan of 1/6 scale pets. I love Goose from the Captain Marvel, even the dog from Guardians of the Galaxy. I play his card all the time, her card all the time. So I was like, okay, they have to do a crypto. And lo and behold, crypto comes with this figure. So it's kind of funny, and I'm going to go into it on my would I suggest this figure or would I purchase this figure later on. But this guy doesn't come with much. It's Superman, so he's not going to come with like any guns or anything crazy. Comes with a full array of hands, wired cape. I'm already like, come on, Jackson Zoo. I need me a drape cape for this guy. I need a nice, cool drape cape. I don't really want a wired one for him. So I'm hoping Jackson's already on the case. Separate rolling eyes. They say this is a bespoke body specifically for David Cornsweet in this film. A lot of people are saying this body looks a bit bulky. We're going to see that more in the more detailed pictures of him. But I think it looks Superman-y. I think it, and I'm going to give my opinion on that. So let's just get to it. So here's just some overall images of the figure. The call-outs that I have is that I love the color. I love the vibrant reds. I love the big blues. I love the shield. I think that it's going to pop on your shelf, especially with a lot of figures that are more muted colors. Star Wars is all black and browns, and the MCU is all muted colors. So something like this is going to really pop on your shelf. Once again, going back to that head sculpt, I can see it. It's a little soft right now. It's not completely locked in to David, but one thing I do give it points for is I absolutely love the facial expression. I love that little smirk. I like my figures to have a little character in them. So you can't do a multi-pose. Like if you want to look serious, it's going to be kind of hard, but you do have the rolling eyes that can help alleviate that. But I do like that he has a little bit of personality. You see kind of like the sure of himself, hopeful, cocky, not even cocky, like sure of himself, hopeful, kind of like let's do it Superman in there. I love that this thing comes with a flight pole. I love the diorama base on this guy. I love that you can put him like in a waist grabber less flight pose. Just like a little, apparently there's a magnet in his back that you can plug in there and you'll be able to just pop him on there. How strong is that magnet? I don't know. We'll see. But it's looked like it's holding up pretty good there. Crypto does look a little bit on the plasticky side, but I'm not gonna ask Hot Toys to make a fully, furred out Crypto, man. It gets the job done, and even his little cape is wired, so you can make that dynamic too. I wonder if his cape has the S emblem on the back. I didn't see any pictures of him from behind, so I'm hoping it has the S emblem, even though you'll never see it unless you pose him a certain way. But I'm kind of looking forward to that. So would I purchase this figure and would I recommend it? Cards up. I literally woke up the morning when this was announced. I was half asleep, and I do my morning ritual, check my mail. I checked Reddit, and I saw that this thing was live. I was like, huh? I saw it. I went to Sideshow, saw that it was up for pre-order, half sleep, hit pre-order, and just went back to sleep. I was like, yeah, this thing is a no-brainer. I need it in my veins. I need this Superman. I have hope. The symbol is for hope. I hope this movie is excellent. I think it will be. And I just want this Superman in my collection. I love the suit. A lot of people don't like the trunks, but a lot of people grew up on the Henry Cavill Superman. So they are more used to Superman. And even the new 52 Superman, they're not used to him having the iconic trunks. But this is harkening back to the Superman I grew up with Superman the animated series, the comic book Superman, Christopher Reeve, Brandon Routh, even the Adventures of Lois and Clark. This was the squint test look of Superman. So I'm happy that they're bringing that back. And this is a no-brainer pickup for me. Would I recommend it? I'm going to hold that thought because dun, 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 here comes a new challenger. Shortly after that Hot Toys announced they're coming out with a James Gunn Superman, their biggest competition, InArt Studios, released their version of David Cornsweat's Superman. For me, this is the first time in me collecting seeing a head-to-head like this. Both of these figures were announced at the exact same time, almost days apart. First initial thoughts is this is ballsy. This is really ballsy of InArt to just say, you know what, anything you could do, I could do better. And they bring out this gorgeous, like just absolutely amazing looking Superman. You can tell from the head sculpt that this is a very different look for David and for this Superman. This Superman's a more stoic look. The shadows are deeper. His hair is more kempt, very iconic Superman, almost like leaning more towards the Henry Cavill Snyderverse serious Superman, versus the more playful, I would say energetic Hot Toys Superman. So it's a bit more stoic than the other one. From the right, you can see what it comes with. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's Superman. It's not going to come with a lot. Apparently, this guy comes with two different head sculpts. One where he has this stoic look on his face, another one where his eyes are closed. I don't know. Eyes closed is a bit weird to me. This one also comes with a crypto, which is like, that's hard for me because crypto was no crypto, no crypto. You don't. I'm not gonna buy it if it doesn't come with a crypto. They were smart enough to have a crypto too, so that makes which one to get even harder. He comes with a full array of hands. He comes with a magnet base. You'll see it a bit more in the other images, as well as flight boots where they're kind of like auto fixed, so you can give them that iconic floating image. I think this thing was gorgeous. We're going to go into the differences and the pros and cons of either figure, and I'm going to tell you which one I would get and which one I'm going to get. So let's do it. So this thing is out of control. So right off the bat, I'm going to say that this figure's body proportions are stronger on the InArt than the Hot Toys. Right off the bat, you could just look at it. It looks a bit more human, that was, if I could say, than the super bulky Hot Toys version. It looks a little bit more in line with Cornsweat in the trailers, at least. Once again, I haven't seen this movie yet, but the body proportions look a little sharper. The colors are more muted, which is not a good thing for me. The colors are a bit more muted, but the details in the suit are way better. One thing Hot Toys is I don't think ever going to have on InArt is their tailoring. This guy is tailored within an inch of his life. It's the little things. It's the sleeves that are going to cover those wrist pegs. It's the boots. It's the cape. And it's the little details within the armor that blend a lot better than the Hot Toys. I honestly could keep. You can keep the second head sculpt. I don't know why he has that weird eye closed. Maybe that's a scene in the film we haven't seen yet that's super pivotal. I do think they have the better. I was gonna say they have the better crypto, but this crypto is once again in a stoic kind of standing there, arf kind of face, where the other crypto's in a more dynamic, fun pose. This thing comes with a wired cape and a draped cape, which Hot Toys does not do, and they need to start freaking doing. So this gets bonus points for that. And this figure is absolutely amazing. So let's get into the nitty gritty about this Superman off. You know what I mean? Which one would I purchase? Which one would I recommend? It's really based on a bunch of different factors. So let's get into it. Let me take a little sip of my drink real quick. Oh, that's good. So, pros and cons. The pros of the Hot Toys is that, one, you will get it this year. Apparently, they're going to be launching by the end of the year. And this is a figure you should have your hands on by at least January 2026 at the latest. Another pro of Hot Toys. It is a figure that is going to be purchasable in the United States through retailers and through Sideshow and things like that. So it's going to be a lot easier to purchase the Hot Toys one versus the InArt one. Other pros. I for one, prefer the look on the Hot Toys face. Not necessarily the sculpting, but the look. I'm not really a big fan of the super stern Superman. I like my Superman to be a bit more human, more softer, more, relatable. And I think the face he's making on the Hot Toys version is superior than just the standard stoic, is Superman going to kill me Superman face. And also, I think the colors are better on the Hot Toys version than on this one. I like the brights, but that could be left to interpretation because it really depends on whoever did the Photoshop for these images. Because, of course, they were touched up. The coloring was changed. Hot Toys wants to emphasize things that InArt wants to emphasize something else. So I can't really gauge how bright the InArt is going to be until I see it in someone else's hand that is not, photo doctoring it to death. Pros for InArt, it's a lot of them. I think the body proportions are way better for the InArt. I think the head sculpt, even though it's not a face that I'm thrilled about, I think it's sharp, I think it's stoic, and I think it's excellent. The hair is great, even though it's not the InArt normal prosthetic hair. Our hair implementations. It's just a plastic sculpt, which still looks great, but it's not the needed hair that people usually get when it comes to InArt figures, what they're used to. I like the flight pole for this, but I don't like that pose at the bottom. It looks a little too anti-dynamic, but I think this guy's going to be more flexible than the Hot Toys one in regards to getting that classic Superman pose. I like the other, even though the sculpt, it's almost like the sculpts, everything, it's like all the bones of the InArt is better, but the heart of the Hot Toys is better. So for me, because I've already pre-ordered the Hot Toys version, and honestly, you have to jump through a lot of hoops to get an InArt figure in America currently, because InArt doesn't have a U.S. license. So you will have to go through third-party vendors, like from out of the country, which includes tariffs, which includes overcharges, and which includes no security on your figure. So that if that thing gets confiscated in Antarctica, you're just screwed. So, and on top of everything, God knows when this figure is going to come out for purchase, because InArt is notorious for announcing a figure and not bringing it out for years, not months, not weeks, but years. So even though I think this is the superior figure, like on paper, to the Hot Toys, I'm going to purchase the Hot Toys version because, one, I know I'm going to get it. Two, I know I'm going to get it reliably. Three, I like the coloring better. Four, I like the smirk. I like the liveliness of it better. I like the diorama base better. I'm just a bigger fan of the Hot Toys attempt at making the Superman look more alive than this guy who's just so like stand him up straight, he's gonna be fine. But honestly, if you were to choose either one, you're winning. And this reminds me a lot of the Batman, like the InArt Batman versus the Hot Toys Batman. I chose the Hot Toys Batman because I like the flexibility. I like the diorama base better. Hey, what's going on, Bradley? What's going on, Miss Carol? Thank you for joining me. I'm talking Superman. I'm talking about these action figures. So, Bradley, of course, if you have any questions, let me know. Miss Carol, thank you for coming through. If you have any questions, just want to say hi, I'm here. I'm just talking shop, talking about these action figures. And I make sure to keep my language very clean. You know, I never really have a problem with that, but I just be mindful of it. So yeah, all in all, between the two figures, I would prefer the Hot Toys Superman versus the InArt Superman for the reasons that I gave. I think, and another thing is that with the InArt, look to spend about $200 to $300 more than the Hot Toys. Hey, how you doing? This is going to be a more expensive figure, but I don't see the cost in it. This doesn't have rooted hair. I think this diorama base is not as sharp as the InArt, as the Hot Toys one, and I just don't see. And he does not like he comes with anything the Hot Toys one doesn't, other than like top-notch tailoring and an amazing head sculpt. You know what I mean? Which Hot Toys, that figure for right now looks super good. This is a tough one. I'm keeping a bit of time on this one because this is the very first time, like I said, that I've seen a head-to-head with a character. And this is Superman. Like, this is one of the most important fictional characters of all time. So, to get either one is a win. I've already locked in mine for Hot Toys. Once again, collect responsibly. You don't need two of these unless you got it like that, and that's fine. But do your research. Purchase responsibly. These things are not cheap. And make your choice. Make your choice. Unless there's any questions about this figure, about the Hot Toys figure, we're going to move on to our next our next figure. So this was a good talk. I think this is an interesting duet of figures that are kind of like in direct competition with each other. And I'm curious to see what they both look like in hand at the end of all things. So we're going to stay on InArt for a second because this is so weird, but it's so excellent. They have released the InArt Studios 1/6 scale Michael Jackson figure. Michael, and yes, that Michael Jackson, the King of Pop, Mr. Thriller, Mr. Moonwalker, in what it looks like the Dangerous era Michael Jackson. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right before Blood on the Dance Floor and all that good stuff, and the You Are Not Alone era Michael Jackson. Initial thoughts. I was talking to Tootie Odin about this, and I showed it to her over the 4th of July. And she was like, man, that's a ballsy choice, because Michael Jackson, unfortunately, has grown to be a very controversial figure with all of the allegations and things like that. But just a reminder for those who may be young, Michael Jackson was accused of child endangerment, all that kind of stuff. And he was acquitted of all charges, both by a court of law and by the federal government. Did a full investigation. Didn't find anything on Mike. Mike resumed life, but it irreparably damaged his persona until his untimely death. With all that, I'm going to be straight up front. I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. One of the reason I got into horror, and I'm a big horror guy, is from watching Michael Jackson Thriller and the making of Michael Jackson Thriller. Me and Tootie Odin did a review on Michael Jackson Moonwalker. So when I say that this figure is interesting, to say the least, I mean it. My initial thoughts are, though this is a phenomenal work of art by InArt, this isn't the era Michael Jackson I would want. Even though it looks sick. I mean, the jacket looks great, the metal, the buckles, the glasses, the rooted hair. But I don't know. I'm more of a smooth criminal kind of Michael Jackson. Or if they would have did a Thriller, I would have bought it. If they did Michael Jackson Thriller as the zombie, Michael Jackson with the red leather, man, this would have been, I would have bought this today. I would have bought it. I would have found the money. Because that Thriller is just too iconic. And I could put that with my Jason Voorhees, and that would fit perfectly like in a horror 1/6 scale shelf. You know, have Michael Jackson Thriller, Jason Voorhees, like Freddy Krueger. Why not, dude? I think this thing looks great. If you're a Michael Jackson fan or you collect that side of 1/6 scale that's not superheroes and capes, but musicians and a lot of musicians, a lot of actors, things like that, I think this is a no-brainer. Let's look a bit further into it, shall we? So this Michael Jackson comes with a little bit of everything. He has the full armor suit with the jacket. He comes with the shades. He comes with a little microphone that plugs into his back. This isn't white glove Mike. That's another thing about it. What's the cool thing about it, Bradley, is that the box it comes with turns into a stage that he could stand on. That stage right there, the MJ stage with the step on, that also comes with the backing that you can plug in with a USB and it lights up so it looks like he's on stage performing. Super, super, super cool. Never seen that done before. Full array of hands. The likeness to MJ at this stage of his life, you know, when he was fighting Villalago and had to dye his skin and all that stuff. It's all there. The wool hair implementation where you could stylize it and make it look a certain way. I don't know if the jacket's removable. Knowing InArt it is, because InArt are insane about tailoring and things of that sort. So you may be able to remove the jacket. I don't know if I would. Full posability. This is just a really niche figure for people who aren't necessarily trying to collect the cape stuff, the hero stuff, the movie stuff. What I recommend is what I purchased this. I think this is one of those figures that's the perfect, like, one figure you have. Like, if you were trying to get into collecting and you don't want to buy a bunch of them, like guys like me, or you just want something to put on your desk, and you're a big MJ fan, this is a great figure to start with. I think it's gonna pop on your shelf with that whole display. It's gonna light up. And people can say, "What the hell is that? Oh, is that Michael Jackson? That looks tight." You're gonna get compliments like that. Or you may say, "Ew, that's Michael Jackson. Why is he on your desk?" I mean, unfortunately, that's his legacy. But if you're a Michael Jackson fan and don't give a crap, and you just I want Michael Jackson represented in my collection, this is like the best thing you're ever gonna get. This is InArt, who is top dog, most expensive, most effective figure creators, using their sculptors to make this masterpiece. So, would I purchase this? Yes, kinda. Like I said, it's not the Michael Jackson I would want. I would prefer Thriller. If they did the zombie Thriller, I would be all over this. So I'll be like, yeah, let me get that. Even like Smooth Criminal MJ with the white suit and the glove, the glitter glove, I would get that over this look, but maybe this is the one that they wanted to do. One thing you'll learn about 1/6 scale collecting is there's really no rhyme and really no reason to what they create. Some things seem like they're mandated by some kind of release. Maybe a movie's coming out, very much like Superman or like Deadpool and Wolverine. But certain figures, they'll just come out with. You're going to see one of those right now where it's so left of center. Like, why would they make that? You know what I mean? But, you know, Howard Chan and the guys over at InArt do what they want to do. And we as collectors kind of either you roll with it and you're feeling it or you're not. That's another one of the beauties of this hobby is that it's not a you gotta catch 'em all type hobby. You get what you like because it's way too expensive to try to complete lines and stuff like that. You're gonna either go broke or have a house full of plastic. It smells like a car dealership. You don't want that. Nobody wants that. So, like I always say, collect what you love what you collect. Get this guy if you want him. This is gonna go quick. This is gonna be a grail, meaning when I say grail, it means it's gonna be something that people seek in the future. When a year or so from now, this guy's probably gonna be double in price. That's just how it works. So yeah, very interested in this MJ. Wake me up when you get the Thriller MJ. Then maybe we'll talk. But for now, I think this is an interesting figure. And if you like it, buy it because it's not going to last for long. All right. And now for something completely different. So while I was working on all of my unboxing videos and posing videos, Hot Toys decided to come out with this damn thing. This is the Nightfall Batman announcement of the Azrael Batman from 1990s during the Nightfall series where Bane breaks Batman's back. This was very controversial in the collector's arena because a lot of collectors don't know what this is. Like, oh, that's an ugly looking Batman. Why does he look so gaudy? Why is it all gold and like edgy and things like that? And they just don't understand how sick this is. This was Batman for a very long time during the 90s. Gives me time to gush about the Nightfall series, where you get your first introduction of Bane, and Bane tires Batman out by releasing all the inmates of Arkham Asylum, and Batman has to go hunt them down one by one, non-stop, and Bane catches Batman in a moment of weakness and breaks the bat. And while Batman is recuperating, Azrael, John Paul, I forget his name, I think it's John Paul Valley, takes over the mantle of Batman to get revenge and to defeat Bane and become the standing-in Batman while Batman's back heals. This was on the cover of Batman 500. I remember this very specifically because when I was a kid, Mike Prime took me to go visit my grandfather in New York City. And one of the things that my dad did for me was he went to DC Comics in New York and bought me a copy of Batman 500 where it showed off this suit. And it's one of my fondest memories of being a nerd. My dad supporting me in that passion, and this suit has never left my mind. I've drawn this suit 1,000 times. I absolutely love it. And when this was announced, it kind of felt like it was a targeted missile at my heart. Oh man, those are just my initial thoughts. Let's get into this figure, shall we? So, once again, not a lot to come with this guy. He doesn't use batarangs. He doesn't use grappling hooks like your standard Batman. He kind of flies. He like glides, and he has his talons where he can climb up walls like you know, Goliath from Gargoyles, bruh. He has superhuman strength. He's a ninja. Yeah, Azrael was no joke. As-Bat is what they call him. But with this figure, it comes with a light up LED so you can plug him in. His eyes glow, his chest piece glows, and his gauntlets glow. From my understanding, comes with a wired cape. Limited articulation, it looks like. And he has some super sharp claws. And it has some weathering on the suit, give us a little bit of battle damage. Of course, this is the 90s, so it has tons of pockets and things of that nature. It just looks glorious. If you know what I'm talking about, if you grew up in that era of Batman, this is so good. You know what I mean? And you're not going to get any other figure like this. The cheat is that this was a costume available suit in the Batman Arkham Knight games that they're using for an excuse to make this armor. So that's where the actual 3D model came from that Hot Toys could use and piggyback to make this figure. Would I buy it? Would I recommend it? Now here's the problem. My Batman surplus is extremely tight. I own the Michael Keaton Batman, my 1989, which is my grail. I own the Toots. What's going on? Welcome. Oh, welcome. You missed Michael Jackson. You missed the Superman. Check them out. They're awesome. I have the Pattinson Batman, which I love that film. I have the poster, the Mondo poster. So I don't really have room for another Batman in my collection. Maybe one more, but that is a very coveted spot. Like if I was to get one more, that jumped up to 7 viewers. Hey everybody. If I was to get one more Batman, it would either be the Adam West Batman, maybe even that new Ben Affleck 2.0 looks so tempting. I was just gonna ask about Michael. I just talked about Michael. You just missed him. I was just telling everybody how we talked about it. That thing looks crazy. But all to say is I don't have room for this Batman in my collection right now, only because it's so far left of what I'm already collecting. I do have some superhero themed, like cartoon themed figures. Like I have a whole shelf back there of 90s X-Men, of Cyclops, Magneto, and Wolverine, but that's far from what this is. I think if you're a Batman collector and you just collect Batmen, Joe is saying hi to Toots. Y'all are too funny. Hey, what's going on, Joe? If you're a Batman collector, you got every Batman from Bale to Keaton to all the Arkham Knight stuff, then this is a no-brainer. But unless you're just really into this Batman, it almost reminds me of that Age of Apocalypse Wolverine that came out a couple of weeks ago. Like that figure didn't speak to me like this figure speaks to me. What's going on, Joe? I want this so bad. And that was funny. I was showing Toots in Wash. Shout out to MOTN Live Friday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I was like, why are they teasing me? I can't get this. I don't have the space. It's so expensive. It's not worth it. But, ooh, if I had the space, if I had the money, I would want this so bad. Because this is a slice of my childhood, what this figure is. And it's a shame. It's a shame that in this line of collecting, you have to be specific. Unless you just have infinite space and infinite money. If you have limited space and these things aren't cheap and you need to ball out a budget, you have to make choices. You have to choose the vision of your collection. And if it doesn't make sense right now, maybe hold off on it. But there is a bit of FOMO that comes from collecting 1/6 scale. So once these guys are here and gone, they're gone. Unless Hot Toys makes another one. Because they become a limited resource. They only make certain batches of these. Now you're going through the third-party market. Now you're buying it off people that have already opened it and used it. I'm not a fan of any of that. So there's a bit of FOMO when it comes to this. Super pointy Batman. Toots, that is, and I'll say it again, this is John Paul Valley, Azrael, Nightfall Batman from when Batman got his back broke by Bane. Put respect on his name. This thing is sick. This thing is turbo sick. I want it. I can't have it. I'm mad. So would I recommend it? Yes. Will I buy it? No. I'm going to take a swig of my Waterloo because I am tight. I want this damn thing. If you want to get it from me, if anybody who's listening out there, you want to get it from Mike G for Christmas, Sideshow has it on sale. I will never stop holding your hand if you do that. I'm just telling you right now. I can't purchase it, but I'll accept it. Credit card? No problem. So yeah. I'm very conflicted on this figure. Let's move on to our last. I think this is our last figure of the night before we get into our topics. They have released the Endor Return of the Jedi Han Solo figure. This is recently released out in the wild. You can get this right now. Initial thoughts. I mean, you can't get any more iconic than Star Wars, and you can't get even more iconic than original trilogy. This is Harrison Ford. This is Han Solo. This is at the last episode of the original trilogy, and this is a damn good head sculpt. If you are a Star Wars collector, this is bittersweet because a lot of the original trilogy figures were released years ago by Hot Toys. All of them were. That's a very Harrison Ford forehead. That is a Harrison forehead. Bars, dog. That's a Harrison forehead. A lot of the original trilogy you just can't buy anymore. The Luke is gone. The Leia's gone. The OG Harrison Ford's gone. Obi-Wan is like super sought after. You can't find a old Obi-Wan from the original trilogy anymore. They're just now releasing a Chewbacca, which makes getting this figure very expensive. Because how are you not going to get Han without Chewie? So there's a lot that goes into the desirability of this figure. Talking about the figure itself, this thing looks absolutely gorgeous. I think the head sculpt looks great. Look at that face. It just looks like a movie still. Outside of like the tailoring's a little bit off. Once again, I think the costuming is pretty good. I don't like the coat, you know what I'm saying? But I understand because it's movie accurate. It's part of the scene, and I'm not a big fan of Return of the Jedi. I'm more of an Empire kind of guy. But I'm happy it's there. I don't think he's leathered up. I think that's pleather, so be careful when buying it. and I think the tailoring's really sharp. And it's Han Solo, man. How you get more iconic than that? Let's take a deeper dive into this figure. So, we're going back to, you're kind of seeing a running thread of it doesn't come with a lot, right? Comes with this iconic blaster, comes with separate rolling eyeballs so you can lock in that really nice pose. Two different ways to show him, more of an iconic vest in t-shirt or dress shirt, or with the jacket, and he's fully postable, all that fun stuff. I think if you're getting Chewie, you should get this. That Chewbacca looks absolutely insane. I haven't pre-ordered it yet because I didn't have a Han Solo, so this is a perfect shelf. All you need is Chewbacca and Han, the dynamic duo, and I think that works perfectly well. But it's going to cost you some money. I think between those two, you're probably looking at spending about $1,200, $1,300 easy, just to complete that look. It's like getting C-3PO and R2-D2. You kind of have to pair them up. So if you're looking to purchase this, have that in mind. Even if you wanted to go a Luke and Leia, that's still expensive. Like having Han by himself, unless you're just a Harrison Ford fan, is kind of rough. And on top of that, if the Indiana Jones we just got, the one I was gushing over a few weeks ago, if that came with a young Harrison Ford head sculpt, and you can rock the young Indiana Jones, then I would say put those two together, have Indiana Jones and Han Solo on the shelf. That would look tight. Harrison Ford's two biggest roles. But that's an old an old Indiana. So it makes fighting for this figure a little harder because he has a lot of things that you have to get right to make it stand alone. And I hate to say it, that Han is a character that needs his partner. You know what I'm saying? He needs Chewie. He needs Luke. He needs Leia, in my opinion, to really elevate a collection. So would I purchase this right now? Not really. I do want to eventually have a Rebels, like a Rebel Alliance representation in my collection. Currently, I only have Sith, and I currently have Jedi, but I do want droid representation, I want bounty hunter representation, and I want rebellion representation. I think Han is a good representative of OG Rebellion. Maybe even get like a Poe Dameron or even an Andor for the representation of the rebellion. But I just don't need this right now in my collection because it was just like, no, I gotta get Chewie, and Chewie's gonna be a $500-$600 character off top because he's gonna be fully rooted. Chewie's gonna be a big boy. He's probably gonna be 14 to 15 inches tall. So get this if you already have Luke, you already have Leia, and you just need an updated Han. Why not? Kit bash this guy, give him the Empire Strikes Back jacket. Do whatever you want to this character, to this figure, but I wouldn't purchase it just because it doesn't fit my collection right now. And I'm not that big of a Han fan to have him stand alone. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, if this was Bespin Luke or even Green Lightsaber Return of the Jedi Luke, I would probably get it just to put with my Jedi. But I don't have any kind of rebellion representation in my collection right now for this guy. So it looks great. I'm not going to knock it. It looks amazing. The head sculpt's amazing. Like Toot said, he has a 5 head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he has a 5 head. He don't have dreams. He have movies. You know what I'm saying? But it's a pass for me for right now. I hate to say it. That I just don't have the space, and I'm not too invested in Han Solo directly to have him just standing there like, hey, Han Solo. I need him to go with something. Any thoughts, questions, concerns in the chat before we move on to our topics for the evening? Before we move on to topics in the evening, this is the part of the show where I ask for, if possible, chat participation, and I'm asking you these questions. So the image you're seeing now is J&D, which is like a young upstart company. Not young upstart, they're Queen Studios but they're just now dipping their toes into 1/6 scale figure creation. and they released this image of a prototype Harvey Two-Face that they want to do from The Dark Knight. They want to do a Harvey Two-Face 1/6 scale figure with a Harvey Dent face and a Two-Face face, 4-face, and they're going to do their J&D tailoring and all that yummy stuff, and it's going to probably cost you about $1,000 for this guy. J&D don't play. My question to you, both the Nerdiverse and to chat, is do we need more 1/6 scale villains? And I'll preface this to say that a lot of times when people, and this goes back to when you're a little kid, right? There's always the heroes, right? There's always 7 different kinds of Batmans, 9 different kinds of Spider-Mans, and 3 more Supermans, and 8 Iron Men. But when you finally find that Mandarin figure, or that Dr. Octopus, or that Joker, it elevates your collection. The villains are such an important part to completing the idea of your representation, I'd say. I think to answer this from my point of view, I think we need more villains in this space because they're few and far apart. You know what I mean? The villain really just helps balance out a collection. Like, I have my Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I'm super happy I have my Darth Vader. Like, even on my X-Men shelf, I have Scott and I have Logan, but having that Magneto back there just solidifies it. I have a whole shelf below me where it's Loki and Thanos from the Avengers. I have big respect for villains, and I think that putting out these lesser niche villains, people are salivating for. Jazz Inc. Studios is specializing in what it looks like mostly villains. They came out with a Catwoman that's going to be fully decked out in leather. They're currently working on the Penguin from Batman Returns, both from Batman Returns. I think we need more villains in this space because the heroes need something to bounce off of. Like, even with those upcoming Supermen from both InArt and from Hot Toys, I want a Lex, man. I want a Lex Luthor. Either it be him in a suit or him in a armor. I'm hoping we get the Lex armor in the movie. I don't know. But I think having the villain to coincide with the hero gives balance to a display. One of my favorite displays I have in my room is my The Batman with a third-party Riddler, because Hot Toys decided not to make a Riddler villain for the Batman film. But I think having those two together really helps sell the illusion of realism in my display. And Toots told me herself that is her favorite display of mine, is the Riddler and the Batman together. It just kind of ties it together. So I, for one, wish there were more villains in this space. I think that they have a solidified spot in this space. And I also think that side characters should get more love too, or whatever you consider, because one person's side character is another person's main character, but you know what I mean. Not Superman, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I would love to hear what you think, Nerdiverse. Do you think we should scale back on villains? Do you think we have enough in this space? Do you think it's balanced? Do you want I just want my heroes, I just want my Superman? Let me know, because I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this. In chat, if you have anything you want to add or any questions or anything like that, please let me know as we're getting towards the end of this episode. Cool beans. So with that, we're going to go to the final panel, the final question of the day for this episode of MOTN Figured It Out. And I got this question earlier this week from a friend of mine, and they're asking me, how do I get into 1/6 scale collecting? How do I do it? It seems like it's not easily accessible. And that's my secret, Cap. It's not. They don't make it easy on you to get into this collecting. But it's fairly easy if you know where to look. It's like Hogwarts. If you know how to get there, if you don't know how to get there, it's invisible. But if you know how to get there, you're good to go. The first advice I would give from my experience is finding a community, and not even a community. Go on YouTube. That's how I really got into this hobby, is knowing it off the periphery of my mind and going on YouTube and finding a content creator that you gel with. And there's tons out there that have different approaches to this. I'm a content creator now. So if you gel with me, stick with me. I won't show you. I won't do you wrong. I'll point you in the right direction. Find you a content creator that speaks to you and provides you with information that's digestible for you. And from that content creator, you will join their community and thus find your way to at least understanding this collecting side of 1/6 scale. Because it's very different from any other collecting outside of 1/12 scale to model kits, only because there's only certain ways to get it. You either have to go through companies like Sideshow, or you have to find that local comic book store in your area that happens to get 1/6 scale figures. You can go into Facebook community boards where you're talking with like-minded collectors, and there's a lot of buying and trading in those arenas. But that's also can be a red flag, because now you're dealing with an open market. So once again, you have to be aware with that. And also the hardest part is going through third-party retailers. These are people who are in China. These are people who are in the UK that sell into the United States. And there's a ton of time, resources, and money that goes into buying that way that can prove difficult. There's no guarantees that way. There's really no safety net, if that makes sense. As if you were going to go to, let's say, Sideshow, that is a reputable, solid business that's going to do you right no matter what. So there's multiple ways of getting into this hobby. And I say the first thing you do is find a character or find a figure that's readily available that you love. Just don't get anything. I think that's the biggest pitfall of this hobby, is just getting a figure just to get one. Oh, I'm just going to get the Mandalorian. It's right there. I'm just going to get it. No, you will regret it. That is the biggest pitfall. Like, if you need to save money, save money. If you need to wait for that one character to be announced, just wait for it. Don't buy backwards. It's another thing I would say. Because buying backwards means you're getting used toys, you're getting used figures that have probably already been overly handled, run down, paint chipped. It's just a bad break. Buying backwards is rough. And if you're going to buy backwards, I would say don't go as far as maybe a year backwards or 2 years backwards. Like, if there's a figure that came out this year, you just missed it, go hunt that down, but don't go over, like I said, for that Luke or that Leia from 10 years ago. It's just not, you just might as well just wait for them to announce a new one. Or if you look, but in the contrary, if you're looking for something like that She-Hulk that came out a year ago, that's fairly still newish old, you may be able to find someone who's selling it on like the Facebook Marketplace or on eBay, or you may look up and find a comic book store that just has it. Search your local comic book stores. A lot of them will carry 1/6 scale figures, but a lot of them don't, so it's really hit or miss. Other than that, if you're in the United States, check out Sideshow Collectibles. That's where I would go first, because they have a full array of figures that you can purchase now. And just find a character you like. They have a good array. They have Batman. I think they have some Supermans. They have a ton of Spider-Man. Just whoever you want. Start there, and then kind of work your way backwards, and then you'll be able to put yourself in crippling debt by collecting these figures that are $300 to $500 a pop. With that, unless we're barring any questions, I think that's going to do it for this episode 15 of MOTN Figured It Out. The Super Michael. Any reason to use my name in the title, I'm going to do it. I'll leave the last 5 minutes here open. If anybody wants to say anything in chat, it doesn't have to be about this. Make me laugh. Ask me a question. I'll leave the last 5 minutes open, and I'll just wax poetic for the next 5 minutes. Yeah. So I can't keep a secret. I may have an unboxing video coming up soon, maybe for the next MOTN Figured It Out. As you could tell from the quality of my last unboxing videos, I'm still trying to figure out how to film. I'm very good at audio side of things, but I'm still learning how to do the video side of things. Camera angles, open spaces, just syncing all that stuff up is so alien to me. So I'm still learning. So I appreciate everyone for giving me grace and not biting my head off about the quality of those episodes. I'm figuring it out, literally the name of the channel. So my next unboxing video, I hope, is better than the last. I already have a setup that I'm thinking about for the next one. And now I'm just figuring out how to do the audio so it comes in nice and crispy. Speaking of which, how does my sound tonight? Bradley Toots, please let me know. I'm using a new microphone because my last one was dying out. So I would love to hear on the YouTube side, on the Twitch side, how do I sound? Do I sound okay? Have I been breaking up a bit? Any crunchiness? Please let me know, because these are things I need to understand to better the quality of our content. And if you've been following MOTN, you know how much of a challenge that has been. We've been learning, we've been figuring it out this whole time, and we've only been getting better. So very happy with my crew for putting up with it, and I'm very happy with you, the audience, for giving us grace. Man, that Michael Jackson is something else. I just wish it was a Thriller, man. If it was Thriller Mike as a zombie, man, I would be so all over it. Sounds good, Mike. Thank you, Bradley. I need those words of affirmation. Kind of late in the episode to be asking. I'm just chewing the fat right now, Toots. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. I'm sure Bradley or yourself would have told me if it's sounding ass. So I figured I'd just ask. Just filling some air before we hit that hour mark. But yeah, happy things are getting a bit more stable on this side of the wall. Yeah. Any questions, chat? I'm really thinking about what other figures I would want out of the Superman line other than Lex Luthor. I would want a Hawk Girl because I think the wingspan on Hawk Girl would be sick. I don't want an Ultraman because I don't know what that's going to turn into. I don't want a Green Lantern because it's just Guy Gardner. Who cares about Guy Gardner? I kind of want a Mr. Terrific. I think that would be sick. But I don't know who else is in that damn film. And of course, the giant thing in the room is the Fantastic Four, right? Hot Toys hasn't even announced if they're doing Hot Fantastic Four figures. So I'm really curious to see what those prototypes look like for the Fantastic Four. The Silver Surfer and what Galactus representation they're going to have in those 1/6 scale figures. So I'm really looking forward to see what they're doing with the Fantastic Four, how they're going to simulate the stretchiness of Mr. Fantastic or the fire effect of Johnny Storm. Are we going to get two Johnnies, one flame off and one flame on? Are we going to get two Sue Storms, one invisible, one visible? I'm just curious to see how they approach that. And if we're going to get a Herbie, because I would love a little Herbie to go with Crypto. You know what I'm saying? I love 1/6 scale pets and little things. Like, one of the figures I really want is a R2 and C3PO, but kind of have to wait and see what they do with a new R2. I do know the new C3PO is supposed to be goated, but I kind of missed the bus on that one. But don't buy backwards, so I just have to wait until they come out with another C3PO, which they will because it's original trilogy. I'm hearing that Superman gets a second suit in this film. What it could be, I don't know. I don't think they're ballsy enough to do Death of Superman in this. I hope not. That would be horrible. But what other suit could it be? Maybe something a bit more closer to the iconic suit. Maybe lose the collar, change up the suit a little bit. I'm thinking back on Superman suits. It would be insane if they did like Superman Blue, where he gets the electrical powers and his skin turns blue, like in the 90s. He gets that white and blue suit, much like the Azrael Batman. Like, what if he got that? That would be, I would hate that, but it would be so insane and it's right up James Gunn's alley to do a split-second electric blue Superman. Super 90s and super goofy, and I think he may and let that be Superman's kind of like binary form, like Captain Marvel. That would be crazy. Perfect. Hit that like button, everybody. We got 4 people watching. We should have 4 likes. Speaking the truth, Bradley. This is the end of the episode. Dead ass. So please like this episode. We need to grow our channel. We deserve a bigger audience, and we're getting there. Road to 1,000. Comment on this episode. Do these figures entice you? Are these things that you would love to learn more on how to purchase? Look into. Please let me know. I am the master of the Nerdiverse. I will not steer you wrong. Subscribe to the channel so that you're notified when we go live. May that be, and subscribe to our other channels as well. Watch this Kate over on Twitch, as well as 2D's Toy Box. That's 2D. 2D, shoot me your Twitch name, as I don't want to get it wrong. Shoot over to 2D Odin on Twitch as well, where she's putting together a Bandai Namco AT-AT. Speaking of Star Wars, she's building another model kit for a AT-AT, and it's coming together nicely. So once again, thank you everybody for coming through. Thank you Cheech for stopping by. Thank you Bradley for stopping by. Thank you Miss Carol for coming through, and thank you JoJo for stopping by and saying what's up. This has been another episode of MOTN Figured It Out. I'm of course Mike G. As always, love what you collect what you love. MOTN out. Take care, everybody.